Hello, my name is Chris Woodpan. I'm the owner of Ink and Film Studios, and I am working with Hero Time to make a bunch of videos to help you get your products ready for print. All right, everyone. Hello and welcome back. This episode, we are finishing up our little section on fonts, and this is kind of a bridge between all of the color episodes we talked about in the past and actually using it inside fonts. This time, we're going to be diving into Photoshop, Illustrator, and we're going to touch on InDesign for just a quick moment because a lot of this will apply to there as well. Again, any program you use, this is fine. I'm using the industry common and standards, so you can probably find ways to make this work inside your individual programs. Now, let's talk about black specifically. So essentially, you think you push a button and you have 100% K, you have black. That works to a point, but we can also kind of take out a little insurance and use what's called rich black. So what rich black does is rich is going to add an extra layer of color on top of the black. And what that's going to do is that's going to really help the opacity be locked down for that color of black. So it's taking out a little insurance policy, and it really helps the black be a little deeper and a little richer. This is definitely going to be key whenever you're doing graphic things or big chunky text on your title or stuff like that, that you really need a black to pop and hold its richness. You do not use rich black for things like text and such like that. So they have different use cases. So if you're doing big graphical things, I want you to use this rich black. And if you're doing lightweight text and things like that, I want you to use straight black. So we're back in Illustrator because we are. All right, and here we have our text that we used in the last episode. If you look here on my fill, this is 100% black. How do I know that? If I look at the color panel and make sure that the CMYK mode is selected, and I'm using CMYK, check out that other episode for that. You can see here that all my sliders are at 0, 0, 0, and 100% black. But if this is going to be a graphical image, I need to take out just a little insurance. I'm going to bump the I'm going to bump the cyan up to around 40%. So to do that, I can either drag the slider or I can type it in. And then this is now what's called our rich black. Now, if you remember from the swatches episode, yep, this is a great swatch to make. Make the swatch name rich black. Sounds like a character in a book, right? So that's Illustrator. Illustrator makes it super, super simple. So back over here in Photoshop, you can see here, if I come here and select my text, and I go up here and I select, oh, that looks like black, I'll take that, right? Sure, it looks like black, it'll display kind of black-like on screen. But however, if I go here to the color tab, you can see that this is not the black I think it is. It's only 90% black, and then the rest is kind of made up of the C, the M, the Y, and this is definitely taking us over a threshold of amount of ink coverage and probably going to waste a lot of ink. So it's helpful in Photoshop especially to go in here and, just like we did in Illustrator, manually change these to make that rich black. Now notice here, it's kind of displaying a little bluish, but just know that if you dial your numbers in, it's going to be correct. Now we can go back here, and just like we talked about in that last lesson, let's make our rich black swatch, and then also we're going to add it to our library. All right, you can move these swatches around, and then that way it's definitely going to make sure that it stays with that program. So in InDesign, things are slightly different than what they are in the other programs we've been using. Let's just start with some placeholder text. Now you can see here that I can select the text. You can also I can select all of the text, and you can also work with styles and things to kind of help really streamline this process. So we're just going to give you a very, very basic overview. Now over here in the appearance panel under properties or the character panel, we can also look over here. I kind of have mine set up on both sides, which can be a little confusing. Don't worry about that. Yours will look completely different. But down here in this toolbar, there's this fill. And if I double click that, and you can see here, this corner is what we care about. This is the C, the M, the Y, and the K. For text, you just want to make sure that this always reads 100% black. All right, for InDesign, you're doing your rule books, you're doing a lot of text heavy things. You want your K at 100%. Don't worry about making this rich black. It might actually blur it out when it actually comes time to print. So just hit OK, and then that's all you're going to have to do. There's also registration black and things like that that are used in this. Don't get sucked into using registration black. That's a different thing. Just use the 100% black and you will be much better for it. So using that in combination with some of the other methods we've used in the past and understanding how the CMYK sliders look, if you don't see that, view our episode and make sure you're working in the correct mode so that it can actually work that way. Be sure to make swatches. That way you have that color saved and you can use it throughout your program and you can use it throughout all of the other images you're going to use throughout print. If you're just doing graphics for video or for screens, just using the 100% black is fine. But if you're doing print, you really want to use that extra 40% of cyan to help dial in that color. If you don't, what's going to happen is your blacks can appear slightly muddy. They might not be as crisp and clean. It's a very subtle, but it yields you a much more professional result in the end. So be sure to try that out and make sure that you're doing that going forward. You will not be disappointed by it. Coming up in the next episodes, we're going to be kind of covering managing your files. And when you have a large file with multiple layers, labeling individual layers and importing graphics and things into other programs. We're going to cover a lot of that in the next few episodes. So be sure to stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.